Hello, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. We'll get started in about a minute here. Hey, Darshan, how are you?
Hi, good evening. I'm good. Thank you. I hope you guys can hear me fine.
Yeah, absolutely. All good. We were just waiting for a bunch of people who said we might be joining at 5:10 or something like that. So I think it's safe to get started. I think most of us are here. So, I'm just going to make sure that everybody has an audio and is able to see your screen share. And everybody,
Yes, Prashant. Yeah, we can see the screen and we can hear also.
fantastic, fantastic. Very good. Super cool. Thank you so much, Shanmuka. Thank you. Um, today we have Darshan Karthik. Darshan has been in the digital marketing industry for a while now and, has his own gig going on right now. And um, I think that, personally, some of the uh, kind of know-hows that came from Darshan when I was speaking to him, I felt like, he should definitely share it with all of us. I like the fact that he is able to bring out each of those concepts from the industry side, which is very important because a lot of times we hear about, uh, basically theory and stuff like that. But what I hear is Darshan is able to put that in perspective and put it in the right context for the digital marketing professionals as such. So let's see what he has for us today. Darshan, over to you.
Um, Thanks, Prashant. As in, I will have to break the bubble. There will be some theory involved here, but yes, I will try to give it as much live examples as possible to take this forward. Right. Just let me share my screen, and then just guys, let's give me a thumbs up or something if you can see it. Is this fine? Can you all see my screen?
Yeah, we can see screen. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. All right. So again, thank you very much for this opportunity to be here and talk about demand generation, digital marketing, and everything under that umbrella. For the next 35, 40 minutes, what I would like to do is uh, take you through some basic concepts of what is demand generation, why is it different from lead generation, what are the stages of it, what are the channels used. I'll talk about a few examples on how the industry is doing this. I'll talk about a few case studies that I have been a part of, and there might be some brands that you might have heard of. There might be some brands that are not from India that I've taken part of. And then in the end, there are a few questions that I've put together generally to make sure that all of you guys have got the concept right, right? So let's move. Thank you all. In case you have any questions, maybe you can ask them on there, or Prashant, you want to like ask them to put on the chat, and you'll take it up. Whatever you say, we can take that up from there, right?
Perfect. Yeah, that's right. So let's keep the questions coming, guys. Don't bother about interrupting the Darshan.
Yes.
Just put it in the chat window, and I will pick that up and I'll represent you at the later stage. So that'll work.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely. And I would love to for this to be a very conversational talk as opposed to a one-to-many talk. As in, I would not like to be, or let me say, I would warn you guys: do not let me keep talking because I can keep doing that, right? So let me start off. Thank you. So demand generation, right? As in, the topic was how do you unlock demand using search and social. So I thought, let me set the context as to what is demand generation and why do we need to do demand generation, right? So essentially, the term, by definition, if you go and look at any marketing guru or any blogs that are out there, uh, if you and the objective of stimulating consumer interest and desire is called demand generation, and there are multiple ways to do this, and we'll talk you through that. The end result or the end goal of this is to make sure that you're building awareness and interest in the market for those who are not in market. Let me explain. Like, you want to buy shoes, right? As in, you're planning to buy shoes to go for a trek 3 months from now. You're not in market right now. You'll be in market 2 months from now. But if I was a company selling shoes and I knew that you were doing searches for, like, trekking shoes size 10, I will make sure that I'm putting education content out there to get you in market, even though you're not looking to buy right now. So that when you're ready to buy, I've given you enough education, I've come on top of your mind, and I will be the first brand that you will want to buy or at least consider, right? So that's the whole concept of demand generation. Um, how do we do this? As in, there's a 5-step process. It's the process is it begins from identifying consumer needs, right? So you research you research the search trends. You just to understand what is it that people are searching. You look at customer feedback, very important, because in the modern businesses, I'll give you some examples later. In the modern world, if you are not listening to your customer, you are missing out on a very big product improvement or solution improvement channel, because your customers are your best critiques, and they're the people who can give you the best input on how to better your product or service, right? You will develop effective promotions. The most important aspect here is to identify, once you identify a consumer need, you will need to create a message um, that resonates with this need, right? It ticks off the emotional level, it ticks off the rational level, ticks off the why should I buy this product category. It is really, really important to get that messaging. Most of us, and including myself, right? As in, most of us, when we get into a problem, we'll start looking at channels, saying, okay, I'll do social media, I'll do SEO, I'll do content writing. These are channels and these are good to think through. But more importantly, you'll have to look at one step ahead. What is it that I want to do on social media? What is it that I want to write content about? Because that is what will give you the edge over anybody else who is just churning out a lot of content. All of you are familiar with the AI boom that is happening. Churning out content is never been easier. But as long as you are not, if as long as you are not sticking to context, there is no amount of content that you can create that is going to take your product forward, right? Again, another step here is to create and cultivate interest, engagement, education, relationships, and insights and incentives. These are the ways you can create interest and cultivate engagement amongst your target group, right? We'll talk about the examples as we go forward. Demand generation is not a short-term goal. If somebody comes to you and say, okay, I want to start a campaign today and I want to start seeing results tomorrow, demand generation is not the way to go, because this is a long-term education-focused approach. Because what you're doing is that you're building a space in your customer's mind, a you're building a space in their mind to make sure that when they're considering to buy the product or solution, you're the first person that they will come to. Whether they're buying or not, that's secondary. The fact that they're considering you is a win in this space, right? And again, it is a very top of the funnel activity to make sure that you're just building awareness and interest, and then move it down to higher quality leads. Some important aspects that you'll need to know is analytics, data-driven insights, tools and technologies and platforms. These are really important because today's consumer is very versatile and their buying patterns are evolving every few months, right? So that's demand generation. I just thought I'll put in front of you the difference between demand generation and lead generation. Essentially, what happens is that most of us, when we're talking about marketing, we stick to lead generation because the way we look at it is, um, I'm doing X amount of activities. I want to get Y amount of business out of it. Yes, absolutely. ROI is what all businesses look at. However, the objective between short wins and long-term wins are very different, right? In a short win, you put in some amount of money and resources to do that activity, lead generation. Your win is going to be just a very small fraction, or your ROI is not going to be very high because you're just looking at the short-term game. It's like it's just like, okay, what can I do in the next 2 months or 3 months? Whereas demand generation is a roadmap that you're setting out for the next 2 years and 3 years. So you start you start setting the roadmap now, and you start seeing results without much activity go on later. And I'll give you some examples, right? As in, we can talk about, for example, amongst the large brands, right? We can talk about Airbnb, for example. When they started off, they did a lot of a lot of SEO, a lot of PR. They spent a lot of money on advertising. They saw that they were not going anywhere. I have an example on the further slides, but I'm just giving you a very top level gist. But then they started talking about the long game, right? They said, okay, I am not going to tell people uh, come and live in an Airbnb, or rent an Airbnb. I'm going to tell people live like a local. I'm going to tell people that, get your second home. So you see what they're doing is they're not asking you for a immediate buy. They're not saying, okay, please click here and book your next house. They're planting a seed in your mind, saying that when you're traveling, be like a local as opposed to a tourist. That's the long-term game they're looking at. And in spite of them cutting down their marketing budgets to like about $25 million last quarter, I think they posted their fourth consecutive quarter-on-quarter profit. Right? That's how well it has worked for them. The seed that they planted 2 years ago. Anyway, so again, demand generation versus lead generation. You're making people aware that there is a problem and you're giving them a solution. In lead generation, you're directly assuming what the problem is and you're offering to give them a solution. In demand generation, you're building to increase your brand authority so that when you're standing out in front of competition, you're making sure that your brand stands out and speaks out loudly in that set. Whereas lead generation, you're just presenting benefits of your solution. Whether that's mapped to the pain point, whether they have the pain point at this point or not is a secondary conversation, but you're just presenting benefits. Demand generation mostly uses free resources. Lead generation gates content behind a form where you have to fill up name, email, telephone number to get that. And that's the lead generation, right? So demand generation, again, is focusing on engagement. So you're giving out free resources so people engage with it. Lead generation, you're gating content so people download it. You're capturing that content and passing it on to sales or whatever. That's the difference that you look at, right? Yeah. So I just thought about giving you a little visual example as to where does sales step in and step out, where does marketing step in and step out with lead generation and demand generation, right? For those of you who are working in marketing agencies, or those of you who have your own businesses, or those of you studying the differences between marketing and sales, will realize that these are two silos or two pods that usually do not talk to each other, or usually do not like to work with each other. And typically, traditionally, that's how it's been. However, the modern businesses have understood this silo, and they're coming together, and they're saying that sales and marketing needs to work together for business growth, right? So on the center is where you see the stages of the customer journey. And on the left and the right, you will see where sales and marketing is involved, right? So if you look at demand generation, it's a combination of sales and marketing right from the start. Lead generation is marketing for the first two stages, sales for the next two stages. Typically disjointed um, activities. Uh, any questions, or can I just move on? Right. So I'll just move on. So here is a demand. creation framework that I've built in, right? And this is a very simple formula that I use in my own campaigns. And there's no one size fits all. I'll explain about why the framework is solid, but the line items you see at the bottom, the rest of them, these are things that can change, right? So ideally, what happens when you're building a demand creation program or a demand generation program, you need to understand who is your audience. So you'll need to audience segment them, and you'll have to do a very targeted outreach. It could be through emails, it could be through targeted advertising, right? You will identify what is the opportunity that they are looking at, and then sell the product basis that opportunity, and you will generate a lot of content to educate them around your product or solution, around the benefits, right? That's the power of creating demand. Then you will have another segment where you're capturing these opportunities. Typically, in a product sale, let's take it from selling water purifiers to B2B SaaS software, subscription softwares. One of the most important things is that they'll need to capture your contact, right? So the moment you put your telephone number, you would see immediately there is an WhatsApp that is created, and they start having conversations with you. So that's the outbound engagement that happens, and then they start qualifying you with questions, right? Like how many people are in the family, for the water purifier example. How many people in the family? How much water do you consume? And then they qualify to make sure that their product fits your need, right? And then if you say no, you will start seeing that you will start receiving emails, or you'll start receiving WhatsApp messages, one a month or one a quarter, to make sure that they're nurturing you because you are not ready to buy. So that's the demand creation framework. What you're expecting out of that is results through personalization, and making sure that you're bringing not in non-market leads to in-market, to make sure that they're buying the goods or services that they're being offered, right? So this is the framework. Feel free to copy this framework, but the sub points under each of them needs to change as per your industry, as per the product, as per the competition, as per the budget that you have, right? So this framework then can be used into creating demand, capturing demand, and converting demand, right? What I mean is creating demand is on the top of the funnel. Here, you're building awareness and you're educating buyers who are not actively seeking to buy a solution. You're just making sure that you're staying on top of your mind, right? Capturing demand is where you're making sure you're capturing those who are searching for a solution. Best way to do this is through SEO. Like I gave you the example of a shoe. You want to change tires, your mechanic on your car or your bike, your mechanics told you, like, sir, another 200, 300, or 2000 kilometers. So you'll start looking at tires, right? Like, tires for a Royal Enfield or an Activa. Now, when you're looking for that, the moment you go into that level of search, intent becomes high, right? Because you're not just saying two-wheeler tires, you're getting into long tail, deep intent, two-wheeler tires for Activa 2022 model, or Royal Enfield 350cc 2019 model. When you're searching like that, and all of us do searches like that, and all of us go as crazily deep as possible just to make sure that we're getting our content right. That is where we can capture demand. There are a lot of tools like, for an example, Answer the Public. So you can use that tool to look at search patterns, right? So you can understand who's using what search terms and create content around that. And then when somebody searches, you have your contents out there. They click on that, they come in, you capture the demand. The next is converting demand. Typically, in a B2B sense, we say uh, converting it into a pipeline. In a B2C sense, we say converting it into a sale. So essentially, what happens here is the hard sell, right? So you capture demand. You know that
Kind of fading
that
in and out. We are not able to hear you right now.
is this fine?
Yeah, and now it's okay. But for a second there, we kind of lost you.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Uh, let me just rephrase, right? I was talking about converting demand.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
And since I've already kind of interrupted you here for a second,
Sure.
we do have about 3 or 4 questions. Shall I
Yes,
shall I
perfect. Yes.
talk?
Oh, yes, yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
The first one is how do we engage people to this type of a content?
Can we be more specific? As in, what do you mean this type of content?
Let's see. Let's see. It's uh, Rohan, right? Rohan, do you want to talk about that?
Okay. Does that mean that how do we engage people with content?
Yeah, like what we're talking about for demand generation, I think.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me give you an example, right? Um, let's take Maggie. All of us eat Maggie, right? So just go on to Maggie's Instagram page. What they're doing is essentially not just saying buy Maggie chicken flavor or buy Maggie masala flavor. What they're doing is like, how can you make cheese Maggie? How can you make Maggie omelette, right? So this is not telling people buy Maggie. This is saying people like, after buying Maggie, what can you do next, right? I'll give you another amazing example. I'm sorry, I'm giving you a lot of food examples because people who know me understand that I like food. So there is a South Indian food brand. I'm just putting it on the chat. You people can look it up, right? Cooked TV, COOKD TV, right? It's an instant food masala brand. It's very new, maybe about 3 4 years old, but it's picking up steam. And the reason I'm talking about this is because I came across one of their Instagram videos. So how they're engaging content, right? Like for example, let's take any South Indians here, right? Like you all understand drumstick sambar, right? A drumstick curry. Now that's a typical South Indian food. Now Cooked has taken that to the next level by just uh, providing like a packet that you just have to put it into water, cut drumsticks and put it, and nothing else. Like I who likes to eat do not know how to cook can make amazing curries. Now how are they engaging? Is they're creating content that is really short, crisp, 30, 40-second Instagram reels of sorts or YouTube shorts of sorts that is constantly scrolling down, right? So when you're looking at that's the one, yes. When you're looking at content that is engaging, do not look at giving gyan. People don't like to listen to gyan. Look at how people's lives will be better with your content. That is how you can engage with people. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, sounds good there.
Yeah? And
Yeah.
can we
Sure. Yeah. So just one more here. Um, says, does quality leads mean something like profit for the organization?
Sure, it means profit, it means cost savings. Let me give you an example, right? Um, as in you're working for or you are running a mattress company, okay, where you're selling beds, like Sleep Well is your competition, for example, right? So, or Sleep Fit or Wake Fit, for example. Now, leads here, typically you will run digital marketing campaigns and you'll capture a lot of leads of people who are interested in buying beds. Now, there are two ways to do this. One, you just run a spray and pray Facebook campaign saying that, hey, like, buy a bed, get 100 leads at 10 rupees a lead, for example. That is 1,000 rupees, right? Two is you run a very thoughtful, very targeted campaign. Look at, let me give you an example, right? Look at, for example, 45 plus year professionals, like, who are having difficult, long working days, sitting in the chair for a long time. So you talk to them specifically saying that, like, does your back hurt because of long working hours? Here is an orthopedic or a approved bed, right? For example, you will get very few leads there, maybe just 5 or 6, not 100. Now, where you will be making profit or saving for the organization is the the effort that goes into getting the leads on the second column, that is the more targeted, might be more, but the effort in reaching them out, right? It's just 5 people that you have to call and sell, as opposed to calling 100 people, right? So that is how you will have to look at what quality leads can do to an organization. A lot of companies, especially small businesses, especially in developing markets like India and the other countries, they want volume of leads. As marketers, it is a good number that we have volume, but as opposed to volume, we should be telling them that, let's go after quality and not quantity, simply because we are making sure that the effort of converting these leads is easier with quality leads as opposed to like a lot of leads, right? So that's either profit, you can look at it as profit, or you can look at it as cost saving. But in the end, you are making money for the company by saving it or by making it. I hope that answers your question.
Yep, we have a thumbs up there, so looks good. Go ahead, Darshan, please
Excellent,
proceed.
excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Anyway, so let's move on, right? So I was talking about channels of demand generation, right? So there are a few channels for demand generation. Some of them are specific to B2B. Most of them apply across B2B or B2C. And the reason between B2B and or the difference between B2B and B2C is is just the sales cycle, the complexity of the product, the cost value, and there's a lot of things, right? And even B2B can be looked at a B2C if it's an easy to use product, right? We'll give you some examples as we move on. So paid ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, Google ads, Bing ads, native ads using Outbrain, Taboola, programmatic ads. These are all on the paid side, right? YouTube ads on the paid side. So this is one of the channels. Lead scoring. It is very important to score your leads, because this is what gives you quality scores. What we were talking about in the last slide as to how quality is better than quantity, lead scoring gives you that. Uh, to explain on a very simple basis, right? For example, you send an email out to a bunch of people saying that, hey, like um, we are a travel agency and here is a new package, like Kashmir 7 days 6 nights package. You sent a bunch of email to about 1,000 people in your email campaign, right? Now there are multiple things a person can do. One, they can open the email. Two, they can reply to the email. Three, they can forward it to somebody else. Four, they can click on any links in that, right? So these are the actions that the user takes in it. Now you can score these actions basis how important they are. For example, opening the email, really important, because when we are reporting on email campaigns, we report um, on open rates, right? Then we report on click rates. How many people have clicked on the button and moved to the landing page? You can take it one step further and score them on forwarding. If they've forwarded to somebody, you can add another 5 points saying that, hey, they've sent it to somebody else who has interest, right? So that is lead scoring. By the end of the entire campaign, you will know which of the 10 people out of the 1,000 that you sent to has taken a lot more action. Just look at it yourselves, right? You would receive an email on your inbox talking about whatever product, right? And there are times you must have opened these emails 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. There are times you would have opened this email immediately, right? You'll open it, 5 minutes later, you'll open it, 10 minutes later, you'll open it again. There are times you'll open it today, tomorrow you're talking to a friend and you'll open it tomorrow, and then a week later, you're talking to somebody else, you'll open it a week later. All of these, what it tells me is that this gives me signals that the person I've sent the email to is interested, and they're having a unique behavior around this. Now, as a marketer, I need to capture that insight and talk to that person. Now, if I see that they're opening immediately 3 to 4 times, it could simply mean that they're trying to read more and understand more, and they've not understood. It could mean that, or it could mean that they want to quickly check what are the points or what are the things that there's being offered. So what I will do is then follow up with, hey, do you have any questions? Here are specific modules explained in detail. Now, what's going to happen is that if the person was opening it in quick succession to learn more, we've hit gold mine because we are giving them learn more email right away, right? So that's why you need lead scoring. Now, inbound is like the king of all marketing channels, right? Making sure that you've built your marketing engine in such a way that people are coming looking for you as opposed to you standing on the corner of the road and shouting out. So outbound marketing is mostly standing in the corner of the road with a bullhorn and shouting, saying that, hey, I have a product, 5 rupees, 10 rupees, 500 rupees, 10,000 rupees, whatever. Inbound is just, you just keep a shop. People are coming to your shop and buying it because you've built that authority. You've built your search presence. You've built systems in place that is going to bring everybody into your shop, right? Now, the systems in place are the ones on the right. Content marketing, the right content to the right audience at the right time on the right channels is very, very important. Uh, and again, there is no one size fits all. If blogs are working for one business, it may not work for another business. And I'll give you some examples because I have some examples as to what and how it works out for that, right? Next is social media. We are living in a world where social media is the most consumed media in the world. There was a survey recently done. I'm sorry, I don't have the results on the slide, but the survey says that more than 80% of people under the age of 30 consume their news on social media, right? That's big thing because uh, I'm not saying I'm old, but as in, like when I was growing up, my news was through newspapers, right? And it was when my father, my grandfather, it was like a ritual. Like 5:30 in the morning, they would sit near the door. The newspaper gets thrown out. It was a ritual every day. That was news consumption then. But now, news consumption's anytime. As in, you're lying down on your bed, about to sleep at 1 a.m., and you're still consuming news. You're having lunch with a group of friends at 1 p.m., you're still consuming news, right? So that's what social media has done to the world. Hence, it's a very important tool. How to use it, when to use it, and what to say on it is very important. There are some examples that I can take you through at some later stage, right? And then marketing automation. Um, Right now, we're living in a world of tools and technologies. Marketing automation is really important because here is where you're connecting multiple systems that don't talk to each other. For example, your website is is like your primary marketing channel. It has a form that is collecting leads, for example, right? Now you have an email marketing tool that is sending out auto responder emails to those who filled in the form, and then you have segmentation. For example, as soon as the lead comes in, you're going to say, okay, if this is from this geography, for this product, segment them in this lead. Now, all of this happens in different tools. Marketing automation essentially brings all of this onto one platform, right? That's what it does, and it makes life a lot more easier for us marketers. Finally, it's account-based marketing. I'll just give you one statement here because account-based marketing is a giant by itself. Imagine you are fishing, right? And you're on a boat, and you throw the net out, right? But somebody's asked you that they want uh, for you to just catch a red snapper and nothing else. When you throw a net out, which is through other forms of marketing, you can't choose to catch a red snapper only because whatever is there in that region is what you will catch. But with account-based marketing, you can actually go after just the red snappers in the ocean, right? Just to give you some context here, you're selling, let's say, furniture, okay? You're selling custom sofas. All you need to do, and you want to say that, okay, I want to sell this only to the prestige apartments in Bangalore because people who can afford a prestige can afford my furniture. That's your premise, right? So all you have to do is just get a list of all the prestige apartments and just market to those folks. So then that becomes the prestige apartments becomes the accounts. You will research, you will see how many people have 2 beds, 3 beds, 4 beds in that apartment, and then you will see how many people on the seventh floor, how many on the first floor. You'll talk about because when you're talking to the people on the higher floors, we're talking about things like, hey, my furniture is easy to move, right? Because that's a selling point to them. So that's account-based marketing. We can talk about more examples in later slides, right? So typically, all of these adds up to demand generation. Disparate channels talking the same message to different people at different times on different channels, giving them what they're looking for and moving them down into the funnel, right? Now, one of the most important things that all of you have to keep in mind is a buyer journey. A buyer journey is not a straight line, as in people represent it as a straight line graphically, but it's not a straight line. Let me give you an example, right? You want to, as in you want to buy a flight ticket to go from Bangalore to Delhi. You're not going to go to, as in you're going to go to Google and say Bangalore to Delhi flights, but you're not going to click on the first link and buy the ticket. 100%, maybe yes. Okay, let me say 98% of the people are not going to do that. Maybe 2% of the people are directly going to go. The rest of them are going to go to Yatra, make my trip, compare it, go to Skyscanner, compare it, go to a review site, read about is Indigo better or is Vistara better. Now you see, this journey is not linear. Want to buy ticket? Click on page, buy ticket. It's not a straight line. It goes in a maze. It goes all around the page and then ends up, right? So what can you do in such scenarios? In such scenarios, you identify a buyer's journey. Now, what you see here is a B2B journey, right? And not a B2C journey, because B2B journeys are more complex. But I will give you the same example of buying the ticket in this, right? Now, imagine you're an admin in a company and your office asks you to book a ticket for 50 people because they're going offsite. Now, when you're doing that, the person is just not going to go and book 50 tickets. He's just a new admin, so they don't have a travel agency, or it's a new company that is set up. They don't have a travel agency. So what are they going to do? They're going to look for, like, best travel agencies for corporate booking. Now, if I was a travel agency, I'll put a case study out there saying that how I booked, how I did travel for a corporate and everything went smoothly, right? Now, that is in the problem identification phase. Somebody sees the case study, they'll be like, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Let me put my information here, right? And then from the sales side, you can call them, personalize the conversation, personalize, okay, how many veg, how many non-veg, how many window, how many non-window. You guys are following, right? What I'm trying to talk about. So that's the problem identification. Next, now my bosses have told me, like, it cannot be more than 2,000 rupees a ticket. But then everybody is offering 2,500. There's nothing at less than 2,500 per ticket. Now, as a company, what am I going to say? Like, hey, here are the features and benefits of coming with this travel agency because we arrange cab services, we arrange concierge services. Like, and you can do this in explainer videos, you can do this in product sheets, you can do this in features and benefit videos. Now, when I'm going back to my boss, I can say, hey, boss, you know what, it's 2,500 per ticket, but you don't need to worry about cab fees because they have cab fees. This is their conversation. You see, that's where they explore solutions. And then you move on to requirement building, which is essentially talking about what is it, and then and getting on calls and discussing the requirements, actual requirements, and then the sale of the sign up, right? So this is a typical buyer journey. I would request you all to just make this note, right? Just go on to Google at the end of this and search for B2B buyer journey from Gartner and look at that maze and see the number of touch points that a person goes through. And you will realize how complex decision making is when it comes to buying a product. And it's the same even if you're buying shoes, if you're a shoe enthusiast. If you're not, like somebody like me, I would just go to a store and say, okay, size 12, what do you have? And just pick what they have. But if you're somebody who is really, really interested, you would do 500 blog posts. You would talk to 7, 8 people. You would go onto review sites. You would go onto social media. You will listen to influencer reels, watch them before making that decision. So you see, as long as you are able to imagine the buyer journey by empathizing, by putting yourself in that journey, saying that if I was the CTO of this company to buy this product, if I was supposed to buy kitchen utensils for my house, what are the things that I will look for, right? If you can empathize yourself in that journey, you will then start saying, okay, I would want somebody to give me this information. I would want somebody to give me that information. Now, the format of that information, we can figure out. If you have money, we can build videos. If not, blog posts or infographics. That is the content type. But what content is what we're discussing, right? I hope you guys have you're here, right? And I'm not just like going around in circles. I hope, right? This is an interesting slide. Some tactics, right, for demand generation. There are more. The reason I put just these is because these are the most effective ones that I've come across in the last 3-4 years. Because the last 3-4 years, post pandemic, user behavior has changed, right? Our patience has dropped. Earlier, research said for 7 years ago, research said that our attention span was 7 seconds. Now research is saying it's between 2 to 4 seconds, right? Because pandemic uh, put us through a mental situation that none of us had experienced, right? So our behaviors have changed. The way we buy has changed. The way we interact with people have changed. Even now, ideally, 5 years ago, this would have been a classroom session. I would have been standing in front of you people. Today, it's an online session simply because the world has made us realize that you can do business sitting in remote places, right? So I have not gone to office in about 3 months. I'm just working from home. I've been working from Kerala. I've been working from Chennai. I've been working from wherever I feel like, right? I just need an internet, my laptop. That's it. I get bored. I just travel and I sit and work. So that's what the pandemic's done. Hence, the tactics that I've put here are the ones that are most relevant. Let me take you through one by one, right? The most important tactic, I just on one of the comments, it was like, how do you do social? I thought I saw, right? Earlier, what we used to do is in social media, we used to just say, like, hey, this is a product, please look at it. This is a benefit. Here's the link to it, right? Uh, Stop dropping links directly on posts because it's a big turn off. People are not going to be, nobody wants to buy on day one your product, right? What you can do is drop context instead, saying that how this product can benefit you. What are the benefits of these products? Again, don't sell features, sell benefits. If a shoe has soft soles or memory foam soles, don't say it has memory foam soles. Say it's easy on the knees, right? Because you're selling a benefit that is emotionally and rationally connecting with somebody, and not just memory foam. Because then another company will say even we are selling memory foam. You know what I'm trying to say? Anyway, so that's one, right? So engage with your audience with visually appealing formats, with like infographics and reels. This answers Rohan's question, I'm assuming. What kind of content to use on social, right? So engage them with visually appealing that gives them a purpose, like a sense to do something. And like I was telling in the Maggie example, instead of saying, hey, buy 2-minute Maggie, you can cook in 2 minutes. You'd say, okay, did you know you can make Maggi Pani Puri? I didn't know. I just recently saw something on Instagram. People are making Maggi Pani Puri. And I would love to try that because A, I love Maggi. B, I love Pani Puri. Why not a Maggi Pani Puri? You get what I'm trying to say? That's the kind of content that you'll have to create. And some of the new algorithm changes on social media has has helped. If you add links or comments on the first post instead of on the post, right? For example, you're talking about you're working for a local fashion store, and they're saying summer collection, like, buy this linen shirt. So the buy now link or the no more link, instead of putting it on the main post, put it as a comment. Now, what the algorithm will think is that it'll think engagement has started already, and it'll start pushing the algorithm higher, so that post will start going onto others' feeds. You can actually see this in a lot of Instagram and a lot of LinkedIn conversations. A lot of people would say comments pinned in first comment or link in the comments, right? So that's the tactic that you guys can use. Another tactic is to do paid content distribution, but to break down your campaigns. Uh, the biggest mistake I've seen with businesses or study professionals who do not like to experiment or do not like to test is that they will run one campaign, put all the eggs in one basket, and then just start, right? Even if it's selling linen shirt for summer, break it down into linen shirt for men above 60, linen shirt for men between 35 to 59, linen shirt for men below 35. Break it down that way because your messaging changes, right? Yes, a linen shirt is nice, cool, comfortable, light, summer friendly. But then the emotion behind that is different for a 25-year-old as opposed to a 60-year-old. For a 25-year-old, it could be a fashion statement while being a summer dress. For a 60-year-old, he doesn't. I don't think they really look at a fashion statement. They would want comfort and ease of wearing it. So that's where you will start building different segments and different campaigns, right? And speak directly to them, directly to these benefits. Don't keep your messaging very vague. Buy a linen shirt, summer is coming. Everybody knows summer is coming. Everybody knows a linen shirt is good for the summer. But why they should buy your brand, right? Then you start talking about thread count, GSM, colors, handmade, made in India, supporting local communities. Now, you cannot go to, as in, you cannot go to a group, an audience who does not care about made in India and talk to them about made in India. They would say, I really don't care. I just want a shirt. But there is a group of people who are very proud to wear made in India products. And to them, you will have to talk about that. That's what I mean, speak directly to the needs, right? The most important aspect here is to test, test, and test. See, marketing is an art and a science. A science because it is, as in, you have the tools and you have the algorithms and you have the channels and you have all of that fixed in. It's an art because there is emotion involved, right? There is a rationale involved. There is no formula for emotion. When a person sees a Cadbury's ad that of this person running onto the field, some people smile, some people frown. They're like, what the hell is he doing? The ad is the same, but the emotions are different, right? So there is no formula for how to evoke a certain emotion out of people. The only way you can do that is to test and test and test and test. Some of the great ads ever built on the world, on in India, has been through constant testing. Some of the great messaging that comes out has been through constant testing. So, if there is any key takeaway from all of this, one of the things that I would tell you guys is do not fear in testing and experimentation. Yes, keep small budgets and small resources out there to test and experiment and fail, because only when you fail will you not use that in the next step, but please test, right? Next, subject matter expertise. We are living in the world of influencers. Influencers, I think, is like a 30 trillion or a $35 trillion economy, or a 30, I'm sorry, $35 billion economy, as per Forbes end of last year. You have influencers from how to eat food to how to wash your hands to how to live life to how to sleep. There's influencers for everything, right? However, some of them are actual subject matter experts. You might as well go out there. I'll give you an example, right? So I was working for this, as I was consulting with this company that sells protein powders for those who go to gyms, right? And this is about 8 years ago. One of the things that we did at that time is work with an influencer, a fitness influencer, who was not just a fitness enthusiast, but also a doctor. The reason we did that is because this fitness powder was non-GMO, non-animal based, plant-based protein, right? And we wanted a doctor to come and talk about the health benefits behind this. Now, any fitness enthusiast would say, drink protein, pump iron, and be fit. But it's only a doctor who can come and say plant-based protein is actually good for you, right? Soy protein is good. Meat protein is good, but in lesser quantities, right? That is the thing. So subject matter experts is very important. What they do is they enhance credibility, and they come with their own entourage of followers, so engagement goes up too, right? So I would say communicate with SMEs, ask them to come onto your blog, ask them to come onto podcast, invite them to webinars, co-create content with them. Um, the key word here is collaborate, right? Do not fear of collaboration. Yes, be very smart about who you're collaborating with and what kind of collaboration, because collaboration can mean that a brand can lose a lot of business. I'll give you an example. Kanye West built Yeezy, Adidas Yeezy. Now, when he made the stupid comments that he made, Adidas just stopped selling the shoes. Close to $1 billion worth of shoes in a warehouse, right? Now, for Adidas, that's not much. But if it was a little smaller company, that would have been bankruptcy for them, right? So, you'd be very careful on who you're trying to collaborate with. So, the key here is collaborate and think through who are the subject matter experts. Next is B2B partnerships. Very similar, but here instead of individuals, you will be collaborating with businesses. The best way to do this is to cross promote. If you are a restaurant, um, promote, cross promote with a wellness company. If you are a travel agency, cross promote with a luggage company, like somebody who's making suitcases. It's very important to cross promote this way, so that you're getting people from both the sides to come out, right? And what happens is that my reach comes to you, your reach comes to me, and then together we are growing. So that's partnerships. Next is personal branding. I'm sure you go onto YouTube, you'll find a lot of people giving yarn as to here are the 10 things I did to turn my life around. The reason you'll see so many people coming up is because it's working. Personal branding or thought leadership is actually very, very important, because people buy from people, people don't buy from brands, right? Yes, if you established yourself like a Nike, then it's a brand. But Nike, the message they took also is a very people-centric message, right? So let's take a look at this, right? You guys go to commercial street if you're all in Bangalore, or you go to a shopping mall. Let me say, you go to a shopping mall to buy something, right? You've interacted with a store person in help, and you like the way that the customer service was. The next time you want to buy that product, or somebody comes to you for that product, you are going to recommend that place, because that person built the brand around there, and that's what you're trying to do, right? And that person is building the brand as the best customer service, and you'll see a lot of that on TikTok and Instagram. You'll see people wearing 100 kilos of gold and saying, "I'm the gold king," and identify the weight of gold, and I'll give you this piece. A lot of things you can do anyway. So just looking at the time, just give me a second. Like I said, I can just keep talking. I think we are past time. I can give you, I'll just move. I can leave this along. There's one thing I want to talk about. This is really important. Demand generation is a long game. There's nothing that you can do like switching on the tap today and then tomorrow you're going to see the results. You plant a seed, you water it by optimizing, continuously looking at maintaining the campaigns, optimizing your campaigns over a period of times is when you see results, right? So keep this in mind. Anybody who comes to you and say, I have 1,000 rupees, how many leads can you bring by tomorrow? You can bring in leads by tomorrow, but the best thing to tell them is please do not do that. The leads that come by tomorrow is not going to be worth even calling out, right? If you really want to invest in long term. Anyway, uh, this is something that I wanted to talk about, right? And then I'll spend another 2 minutes if you guys are okay with this. Uh, no one size fits all. Each of you have your own businesses, or work in your own companies, or aspiring to work in companies in different industries. It is very important to keep in mind that there is no one formula that works across. You will have to keep in mind the industry, the audience, the complexity, the competition, the objective, and the resources. For example, if you're selling a consumer product for the younger audience, engaging social media will work. But if it's a pharma product, you have to educate them, right? If you're selling a luxury fashion brand, you will do exclusive events in UB City or something like that with premium packaging. But if you're selling budget airline tickets, Then you'll talk about promotional offers, 2 for 1, 20% off, extra leg room, and that kind of stuff, right? If it's a complex product, you will have to do detailed demos, case studies, free trials. If it's a simple snack food, like you say, bingo, mad angles, you just see the funky ads that come up, right? That's enough. People are going to go and buy it because it's not a complex product. It's a 10 rupee product that you can buy off the shop, right? Competition. If it's smartphones, right? Highly competition. So you will talk about differentiation. Mine has a 5 megapixel camera. Mine can take water. Mine has a drop test fast. But if it's like a niche sneaker, like I was talking about Yeezys, right? It's you build loyalty and you build referrals and partnerships. That's how you move forward, right? Anyway, in terms of acquisition or objectives, for a software company, their objective would be acquisition in using white papers and webinars. If you're a consumer product, your acquisition would be using influencer marketing or experiential marketing. Right? So again, on resource, very important. Not all of us start working with brands like Nike right away. I've been doing this for 16 years. I've never gotten an opportunity to work with a brand as large as this. Okay, let me be honest. I'm a B2B marketer. I've worked with very good B2B companies like IBM and Cisco and Dell and stuff like that. But nothing cool, right? None of the cool Coca-Cola or any of those. But still, what you have to keep in mind is resources. Small companies don't have a lot of resources, so you can't expect them to do a whole lot of celebrity endorsements and snazzy websites, right? You'll have to give them something that is going to work immediate short term. Like, let's do social media and let's do referral marketing as opposed to let's do celebrity endorsements. Not going to work anyway. So some examples I thought how Salesforce, Coca-Cola, HubSpot, and Apple work. Let me just move to some of the work that I've done and give you some examples. Just 3 more slides and some questions. I'm sorry about taking the time, right? The Dom family, one of my clients way back 2017 to 2019, I was working with them. They're an American furniture manufacturing company. The unique thing about this company is that they're about 35 years old. That means children who slept in these cribs 35 years ago are having children of their own now, right? That's what we used in as a message, right? Because there are newer companies coming that is taking up the space. In fact, in the US, Porsche, the car manufacturer, has a crib. Ferrari has a crib. Now, how would you compete against a Porsche or a Ferrari? They would have millions of dollars to throw in, right? What we did is we focused on narratives, on storytelling. So if you look at on the right hand side, sorry about that. If you look at the right hand side, we started talking about parenting 101. We started talking about nursery ideas for boys, nursery ideas for girls. We started talking about how to keep babies from chewing on cribs. So we used social media, we used content marketing, we focused on the materials, we focused on customer stories. So we actually reached out to people who had babies with bought and bought down furniture. We asked them permission if we could send our photographers to their house, went and did a photo shoot, got them to talk about what is the emotion when they slept in a dorm crib and their child is sleeping in a dorm crib. So we used that narrative to take this forward, right? So if you look at it, when we started, we were about 3,000 followers. In about 3 months, we went to 50,000 followers. That's what it is. And this is just one brand, Evalio. There are 6 brands under the Dom family, right? So that's how this works. What are the case studies? If you have any questions, please note it down and we'll talk about, right? Now, this, I can't talk about the brand because because I have an NDA signed with them that I can't talk about it. But I'm free to talk about the problem. A few years ago, this is in LA, in Los Angeles, right? The reason I got this client is because I used to do a lot of sales in the US. I had built a network of people, and then one of them heard this problem, came to me, and then we reached out. So this fitness chain in LA, huge fitness chain, had a manager who was really stupid. A pregnant woman went to him and said, "Hey, you know what? I am pregnant. Can you return my deposit because I'm finding it difficult to manage my house. The comment he made was really stupid. He said, "Who asked you to go get pregnant?" Right? That's it. Now that lady went on Twitter and put that, and immediately they were found guilty in the court of public opinion. There were like 8,000 people who just stopped going to LA Fitness. They started this Los Angeles fitness company. They stopped signing up for the next month. They said, this is not the kind of company that we want to go to. So the three things that we did there. One, of course, we fired the person. One is we trained the company to have a better customer service in the front. Now, many people say that this is not marketing, but I would say anywhere your brand is talking is marketing, right? So we trained them on how to speak to people. Two is we created a welcome to your comeback campaign, right? Like, asking people to come back. And three, we did a unique campaign on LinkedIn. So what we told is, okay, fine, let's target a new demographic, right? Let's target professionals who are sitting in front of the chairs for 10 hours on how can you stretch for 5 minutes, right? And we targeted this on LinkedIn and it did really well. As in terms of engagement, we didn't get signups. That's okay, right? Signups came from the reputation management and the rest of it. But what happened on LinkedIn is that people appreciated that a fitness company is coming on a professional networking site and not selling, but telling you that, hey, it's time to take a break, do a 3 minute neck rotation, right? So that's what we did for them. Now, this is a Bangalore-based company. This is a friend of mine. We just did a couple of campaigns for them, but this is something that I wanted to test out, right? This is a really cool concept. It's an ice cream burger. So you have biscuit on the top and the bottom, you have ice cream in the center and it's fried. So it's hot outside, it's cold inside. It's unique. It's a unique product. Now he had a cart and he was like, DX, I want to, I do events. I go to apartments and I want to let people know that I'm at this apartment, right? So what we did is we used Facebook. We used Facebook targeting to go use the map, like, Elita Promenade or Brigade Altamont. We looked for that apartment. We got that circled down into the apartment and we ran campaign saying that at 4:30 this evening, experience hot and cool in your parking lot, in your play area, right? And he was sold out, as in both these places, he had to go back and get more material to come back. It's not a large campaign. And the reason I put this in is because we spent 500 rupees in each campaign. That's it, right? With 500 rupees, he made about 25,000 rupees. So what I'm trying to explain here is that you don't need big budgets. You just need to be really smart about how you want to spend those budgets, right? So that's it for me, guys. I had some questions for you. It's late, so I can just throw these questions on chat and you guys can answer back, right? As in the questions essentially is just to understand, like, if you're marketing a luxury resort in a tropical destination, what channels? If you're promoting a tutoring service for high school students, what channels and stuff like that. Prashant, over to you. I'm sorry, are people? Prashant, hi, are you there? Okay, I think you're on mute.
Hi, Darshan. Hey.
Sorry.
So,
yeah.
There was one question, which, what app or AI app do you recommend for advertising ideas? Is there anything like that you come across?
Interesting question. Yes, I was just talking about this day before yesterday to a couple of my teammates. AI is not a magic wand. What it is it's a magic broom. It will not give you an idea. It will help you reach an idea. ChatGPT is good enough. Now, if you want to say an advertising idea, you need to have the premise. Prompt it properly, it will give you answers. But if you're just going to ask it, give me an advertising idea, you're going to get a very vague answer, which is not going to be a thing. So, like I said, in advertising or in messaging, okay, let me just dial it down. When you're building context or a copy for an ad, or the concept for the ad, you need to know who you're talking to, what their pain points are, what feature of your product is going to solve that pain point, and what emotional response it's going to evoke. If you know these four, put this on ChatGPT, it will give you some answers. I hope that answers. But again, please use that as a guardrail to hold and walk the steps, but not as an escalator and elevator to take you to some place.
Sure. I think I think that's a good recommendation. Think from first principles, right? In other words,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. Um, what this RR says for number 2, celebrity endorsement. Who's fit as Vidyut Jamwal, right? So I think he's trying to answer the second question for the fitness club.
Right.
Cool. Any specific reason for the choice?
Are you asking me why it was Vidyut? As in, we didn't use Vidyut, but
Okay. No, I mean, any specific reason that is it? Because of course, I understand that the person that's definitely represents the values that are represented in the campaign, possibly. But any other reasons why Vidyut might be good?
yeah, as in, we might have to see if he's got as in, like for that fitness, for the protein shake, right? But typically, yes, he would be a good fit because he's a fitness enthusiast. But the reason for this particular campaign, I'm not sure what is his nutritional qualification. If he's a qualified nutritionist who can speak for the ingredients in the protein powder, yes, sure. Our whole idea was to not just talk about ripped muscles, but to talk about the ingredients that went into the protein, because this was a vegan company and they wanted to promote soy protein and not animal protein. So that's the reason we went with I think Dr. Shweti Sweta. I'm not sure if you guys know that she's a doctor. I think at Rama himself, and she's also a fitness influencer. Shweta, I think her name is. I don't remember. It's like a long time ago. But yeah, if Vidyut is a certified nutritionist, then yes, why not? We can use it because the idea was to use a nutritionist who's also a fitness enthusiast to push the product. I can actually
Understood.
I can actually put these questions in chat just in if people want to engage with, right? So it'll be good for them to.
Sure. Other than that, let's see. There isn't any new question here. So if somebody wants to come off mute and pose a question right now, I'm sure Darshan will be happy to address that. Well, this is not the last opportunity, so you can always go ahead and post your question at some point as well. You'll see some
Guys, hit
emails
me
or
up on
such.
LinkedIn. Yeah, hit me up on LinkedIn. Anything that you
Yeah,
guys want to know.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We'll bring it to Darshan and then we'll get you those answers as well. So uh, thanks, Darshan, for the insightful presentation. I
I
think
just hope I
for
was
me, the
not too
best part
boring.
were,
Yeah.
sorry,
I
sorry,
just
I
said
didn't mean to speak over you. Go ahead, please.
no. I just said I hope I was not too boring because I tend to get carried away and then it tends to keep going on. So I hope everybody found it entertaining and not boring. So
I have seen the population increase, not decrease. So I think we did good. And absolutely great. My favorite parts were the case studies and, the, like I said, the personalized experiences you talked about, that the accounts that you dealt with and some of the campaigns that you've built. So really awesome there. Um, well, I think we look forward to more of these. And then if there are any questions from this group, I'll bring it to you and maybe we can address those at some point.
oh, please, yes, anytime, anytime.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Excellent.
Thank you, Darshan.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you all, and we'll talk soon. Bye.